right, guys, fans are excited to see our next guest making his return in March at UFC 260 to defend his title against Brian Ortega, the pride of Australia, one of the nicest guys in the game. And let's be honest here, the man behind one of the tastiest lamb recipes out there, UFC featherweight champion Alex Volkanovski, who's on the way to Sydney from the Gong and joins us. Welcome back to Submission Radio.
Thanks for having me. Lamb recipe. I can't tell you the recipe, but it is one of the best out there. I can guarantee you that.
You're like the Colonel. It's the Volkanovski secret herbs and spices. Nobody on the planet, except maybe the miso, knows the recipes. So we understand. There's a lot. Not even?
I don't know anyone my recipes.
Oh, there you go. Taken it to the grave. That's the way it should be. So there's obviously a lot to talk about. Obviously, this massive fight against Brian Ortega. But before we go to that, we want to get your quick reaction. Did you watch the fights yesterday? Did you see Max Holloway's performance? And given that he's a former opponent of yours, what did you think of what you saw in there?
Yeah. Well, I watched it just like all the contenders, everyone in my division. I'm always keeping an eye on every single one of them. So I was definitely watching, and Max put on a good show. I knew he would get the win. Put on a pace, and Kattar just couldn't keep up. So it was a good showing.
Dan Hardy mentioned that this is kind of like a newer Max Holloway that we saw in there, and I'm just wondering, do you think that, and do you believe it was just a situation of a different opponent for him?
Well, it's exactly that. He doesn't look like that in front of me, plain and simple. And I don't mean that in any disrespect, but I shut him down, and it's that's plain and simple. As I said, he was breaking records with numbers, and he's always a high volume fighter. He's always looking good when other people's in front of him, but when it's me in front of him, I just don't let him do his thing. So, but in saying that, he did definitely put a good performance, and I'm going to credit him for that. But at the same time, he don't look like that in front of me.
Did you catch Dana White's comments by any chance post-fight, where he was saying that, Max, with a performance like that, he looks like he's earned another shot against yourself, and that trilogy is going to have to happen at some point. Obviously, you got Ortega in front of you, but it looks like White's pretty keen on doing Max Volko 3. And I remember last time you were talking to us, you were kind of like, man, are they going to keep giving this guy shots until he just gets the win? How do you feel? How do you react when you hear that, oh my God, it might be another Max Holloway fight again?
Oh, they were keen before he even fought yesterday. They were obviously talking about a trilogy. Being 0 and 2, it doesn't really make sense. That's why Max moved on. That's why Max went and fought yesterday, because he knew that it just does not make sense. And that's why, obviously, the UFC have put Ortega in front of me. So, we need to move on. Is it going to be further down the track? Look, I'm not going to say that's not going to happen. I believe that Max is doing what he needs to do to stay a number one contender. And, if we have to meet again, we have to meet again. But at the same time, there's going to be a different opponent in front of me. And that's what I'm going to focus on. But, we'll see what happens. Obviously, again, it's no secret that I'm fighting Ortega. It's not fully confirmed yet, but it's pretty clear that that's what it's going to be. And I'm just going to do my thing. I'm going to put on a show and show the world why I'm the best featherweight out there.
By the way, I love the blue background. It makes me miss Sydney, man. It's a nice kind of auto backdrop. But I want to ask you this: you mentioned that they were interested in the Holloway fight initially. So how did this Ortega fight come together? Was Ortega always the guy that you were going to face next, or were they trying to get the trilogy to happen?
No, well, Max was that was never offered to me. They never actually said that. But obviously, with comments that Dana was making and things like that, they were thrown out there. But at the end of the day, that was just talk. Obviously it doesn't make sense, and everyone knows that. That's why they gave him the fight. That's why Ortega, or the Ortega and the Korean Zombie was the number one contender fight, and that was pretty clear when they matched up. Only a few months ago. So that's what it was always going to be. Ortega put on a good show. It looked good. Ortega 2.0, they're saying. So, it's an exciting new challenge for me, and I'm looking forward to it.
Mm. So we saw that obviously it's going to be at UFC 260, and it's crazy down here. Obviously, we're in Australia. You're over there in New South Wales. I was barely able to make it back into Victoria after the holidays. So tell me, are you happy with the date, or will this sort of COVID craziness make it tough for you to travel to CKB and sort of do the usual training setup that you're used to doing ahead of your fights?
Yeah, we won't be able to do the same camp that we usually do. We are trying to get over there in New Zealand, but there's complications there, so it's pretty difficult. They've got a whole voucher system that you've probably heard about.
Mm-hmm.
That's been given the boys problems getting back into their own country. So it's so things are going to have to change for this camp. But again, we're going to do what we did last camp, but at least we've got more time now as well. So we're going to bring a whole heap of guys from around Australia to come into Wingdang freestyle fighting gym, and we're just going to all do our camp there. So we've got a few guys that'll be fighting on the same card. I won't mention any names, but and not just that, we're going to have guys that again, some of the best fighters in Australia. So we're all going to be at our gym, putting work in and doing the rounds. And mate, I'll definitely be in good shape, and I'll be sharp as ever. So again, I'm learning so much every day. Even just watching fights, studying my own fights. You know what I mean? And then we're going to be doing obviously our Zoom chats and doing what what we did last fight, and some. So it's going to be good. I'm excited. I'm excited to get back in there. 2020 was a slow year for the world, but 2021, I'm going to make sure I get a few fights this year, and 2021's my year, 100%. And what a good way to get it started, March 27th.
I know. We're not used to not seeing Alex Volkanovski fight a bunch of times. Last year felt so weird. But was a part of you thinking of going onto UFC 259? I know Israel's fighting on there against Jan Blachowicz. Was that a potential plan for you to maybe jump on that card and then spend the training camp with the CKB guys? Or was that just too close of a date and too soon for you?
No, well, that was a date we threw out there. But yeah, again, it isn't easy as just saying, "I want this fight," I want this card, exact date. It's never going to be that easy. But we did throw it out there. They threw this date out for us and a couple of other guys. But again, we just had to make things work, and this is all falling into place how we want it. So it's a good day for us. And again, nothing's signed, but that's what we're pushing, and that is what the UFC are working towards, and we should have that finalized very soon.
Yeah, and how does it feel to be going back to Fight Island? Because I know in that Max fight, you mentioned there are a few factors there where you felt a little bit off at the beginning of the fight. Is it feel good to go back and be able to revisit that place again, or is there some hesitation about having to go back and fight there?
Well, we don't know exactly where we're fighting. We don't know if it's at Fight Island or if it's in Vegas. So again, nothing's fully confirmed for us, so we don't know. But if we are back on Fight Island, there's just now that I've experienced it, even if I'm fighting with no crowd, at least I've experienced it, so I know what to do. As I said last time we probably talked, I sort of try to control my emotions. I try to keep myself composed, and I was just very underdone. I just wasn't no adrenaline. I wasn't sharp because my reactions weren't there, just because I think I try to play it too calm and collective. So where this time I'm going to let my emotions fly. I want that, I want that edge. I want that sharpness. You know what I mean? And usually that crowd will get me there. But this time I'm going to use different sorts of energies, and use my emotions differently and things like that. And an easy way of saying that is just try not to control my emotions so much. I'll let them fly, just so it keeps me sharp.
It's interesting though, because over at Fight Island now, you would have seen it this past weekend. They got 2,000 fans in the building. So I'm wondering, what would you prefer? 2,000 fans in the building on Fight Island, you got to go all the way out there, or the Apex? It would be empty, but that would be in Las Vegas. What would be your preference?
Well, it's you'd be a fool to say not in front of a crowd. We all want to fight in front of crowds again. A bit of normality, and just obviously the energy you can use of the crowd, and just put on a show for people that are there live. But it's just whatever it is. You know what I mean? So wherever we are, I'm just going to adapt to whatever the situation is and do my thing. But, I really am. I'm looking forward to fighting in front of a crowd again. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and we're really looking forward to this Brian Ortega fight, man, because he really showed some massive improvements in his last fight against the Korean Zombie. What would you say are sort of the biggest improvements from Brian that you noticed in that fight? Did anything sort of surprise you, especially how good he looked in the striking department?
Yeah, there was a couple of things. Again, I thought he fought a completely different fight. You know what I mean? He's always been a dangerous fighter who, just I wouldn't say, I don't want to sound disrespectful in this, so I wouldn't say careless, but, I thought it was pretty one-dimensional, even though he was dangerous. He was always looking for the big shots and, would look for a big finish. Now he showed that he's still looking for those things, but he's a lot more calculated. His shot selections, he's fighting at distance. A couple of things like that surprised me. I didn't expect him to fight that fight, and that's why he made it look, pretty easy against the Zombie. You know what I mean? Like he did what. This is what I've said a couple of times. He did, talking as simple as I can, he did what I would have done to both of them guys and make them look like they didn't show up. You know what I mean? People are going to always say, oh, this guy didn't show up. But a lot of the time, it's the person in front of him that's making them not show up. And that was all Ortega. So you've got to credit Ortega for that. Zombie, I'm sure, would have showed up if it was the same Ortega that we've seen. But I truly do believe that this is Ortega 2.0. Everyone's saying it. As much as I want to laugh about it, I still believe it. I still believe he's a new fighter and a new challenge for me and for the division. So it's exciting. But again, I just believe I'm on another level. I'm the best featherweight in the world, and I'm going to prove it once again.
I think new challenge is sort of the key word. I think for you, I imagine you're probably sick of training for Max and preparing for Max, and I think for the fans as well, they want a fresh opponent for you as well, so it kind of ticks both boxes. But I'm curious, when you look at it, who would you say is sort of the tougher challenge? This new version of Ortega or the Max Holloway that you fought in past times? Do you look at this as sort of a step up in difficulty level, or how exactly do you look at it?
There's, again, as you guys would know, and as everyone will know, that it goes so much, for me, it goes so much deeper than just, there's little details, and there's whole new challenges that Ortega brings. Obviously, he's a jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? I slip up with a careless takedown or anything like that, he can wrap that neck up like that, you know what I mean? And he's obviously got power in them hands, and he's finished a lot of fights. And now he's got all these new tools that he's added to his belt. So there's a whole new type of challenge. You know what I mean? There's so many different things in every fighter. That's what I love about this sport, where it's so much more than just, he'll just bashing this way. You know what I mean? It goes, like, I find details. Our team finds the details, and we go right into them details and break fighters down. And these are a whole new challenges that we got to figure out and neutralize. So it's good. It is fun. It's fun and a whole new challenge. So everyone has their own challenge for me. Whether people will say is it a harder fight or whatnot, there's new challenges. So they are harder in sections. So which is exciting. Again, that's why I love this sport. It's so much more than just standing in the middle and chin down, close your eyes and swing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I was going to say, you mentioned Ortega and how dangerous he is on the ground and how quickly he can snatch that neck up. When you look at him and that fight, is it a case of like the floor is lava? Do you sort of avoid that ground game because of how dangerous he is there? Or is it a case where you kind of go, all right, I want to test myself on the ground. I'm not avoiding anything here.
Yeah, well, I'm not avoiding anything, but there's, again, as I said, like, that's why we love this sport. People are going to be, you cannot take Ortega down. Like, literally think that, you know what I mean? And, he's a good jiu-jitsu, but this is MMA. It's a whole different world. We got cages as obstacles. We've got punches, elbows. We've got so many things that come into play. So to say that floor is lava, which is a good term, I might use that. That is not the case. But again, I'll be a fool to just think I can play jiu-jitsu with Brian Ortega. But there is definitely ways I can approach that realm.
Mhm. I feel like there's a little bit of I almost think something similar between Max Holloway's last performance and Brian Ortega's last performance, in the sense that both guys came out and did something different to their opponents than what their opponents expected. With Max, it was high volume, and Calvin Kattar wasn't really prepared for it, and he was just sort of caught off guard. And with Korean Zombie, he was caught off guard with Brian Ortega striking as well. It was a different approach from the previous fights that he's had. I'm wondering, even though he's had those improvements, how do you believe, when you see yourself matching up with him striking wise, how do you believe he does with the champ?
How does Ortega go with the champ?
Ortega, yeah.
Well, again, like he's a complete different fighter. So I don't think it's going to be the fight it was, however long ago that was. So I believe, Ortega does bring new challenges. And, it seems like he's got a smart team around him that, they're not only just looking for finishes or and just fighting one-dimensional. They're strategizing. They're game planning. And not only that, Ortega is actually sticking to the game plan and looking good while he's doing it. So I believe that he gives, Max definitely new challenges.
Mm. But speaking of yourself, Alex, when you line up against Ortega at UFC 260, how do you believe the battle goes between you and him in the striking? We know he's had some improvements, but I know you like to fight longer guys with that reach as well. You've spoken about it before. Take us into that matchup striking-wise.
Man, it's again, obviously we can't give too much away, right?
Yeah.
Like that's who's going to be standing in front of me, March. So, it's but in saying that, again, the floor isn't lava, but we are probably going to be standing. And, I just believe, again, even though Ortega has showed that he's leveled up, has showed new tools, I just believe, these tools aren't at the level that my tools are. And I think just my pressure. And when I'm in front of people doing my thing, it is hard to deal with. I don't care who you are. I don't care, how good you are. When I am in front of you, I don't care what weight you are. If I'm in front of you, you are gonna fight my fight, plain and simple. And I plan on bringing it. And this is gonna be a fun fight for me. And this is gonna be a fun fight for the fans as well. So again, I get to really put that pressure. I get to be in his face and put a high pace on. And man, I'm again, no disrespect to Ortega, but I'm going out there and I'm gonna put a showing on him, and I can't wait to do it.
Ortega's interesting in the sense, I like how you mentioned the strategy behind the fighting and the teams, because Ortega's interesting in the way that with Korean Zombie, he wanted to go out there and he wanted to outstrike Korean Zombie and set a statement. Against you, do you believe he's going to try and do the same thing? Or do you think it's going to be a case where he tries to take it down to the lava area and tries to win it there, an area that he's done it before?
Look, he ain't really a wrestler. I'm sure he's working on it. But when I'm putting that pressure on you and when I'm in your face and, you're fighting my fight and you're panicking, the stress levels are right up here, he's going to shoot desperately, you know what I mean? And this is just, again, it's different when I'm in front of you. So whether he wants to keep it standing or not, I believe it's not going to go how he thinks it's going to go. And I think he's going to be maybe shooting carelessly or throwing carelessly. And that's where I'm going to, really do my thing. So, again, it is just different when I'm in front of you. So, I've got some of the best fighters in the world that just, even, they watch it, they know my pressure, but when I'm in front of them, they go, wow, I understand it now. I feel that, you know what I mean? And, even a good example that is Israel Adesanya, when he talks about it, and he's always said, even though I'm half his size, he's like, why, like he was on the back foot when we're sparring. He's like, why am I letting this bloke get me on the back foot? And he would be like, I ain't letting that happen. And then before he knows it, he's on his back foot again, because he's just, you know what I mean? He goes, I've just got a knack for it. You know what I mean? Again, it's just different when I'm in front of you. And people can say what they want, you know what I mean? But again, when I'm in front of you, it's just different. And I'm going to show that time and time again.
Wow, so you and Israel spar, huh? Even despite the size difference. This is just a regular thing.
Again, it was more, it's not like we're going out there trying to take each other's head off. We're both smart fighters, and we're not sparring to kill each other. And he's not trying to knock my head off or anything like that. So we do do our technical sparring and things like that. So it's good. You learn a lot from that type of sparring. You know what I mean? So yeah, we have sparred. I wouldn't say we go out there on a Saturday when we do our sparring sessions. We ain't out there doing our rounds every weekend, but we have sparred here and there, but more technical sparring.
Good to know, man. To be
fighting Israel 100% or sparring him 100% is a good idea. So
yeah, but still, to be a fly on that wall, holy crap!
But does Israel know the lamb recipe? That's a real question.
Lamb recipe, but no one knows that lamb recipe.
Eugene Behrman wants to know that lamb recipe. He's a smart guy. He wants that recipe.
I've got my tricks. It's not just and you know what I mean. We go deep with it. One day, maybe. Hey, I've got a YouTube channel coming up, and I'll be cooking on there. Maybe, just maybe, I'll put the recipe up in there.
Oh, there you go, dude. Cooking channel with Alex Volkanovski. That's awesome. Just one more thing on Brian Ortega. And by the way, I appreciate the time, Alex. We'll let you go in a second. He's kind of like you. He's like a pretty laid back, nice guy. What are you expecting from this build up in the lead up to the fight?
Well, he made it pretty clear after his last fight. There's no bad blood. You know what I mean? We're not the type of guys to just talk about each other's family and whatnot, and try and get under each other's skin. But at the same time, he wants my belt. And at the same time, he wants to take the belt from me. So there's who knows how this ends up playing out. But at the same time, I got respect for Ortega. There's no hate there, but man, I still feel like I've always got something to prove. You know what I mean? I am the best featherweight in the world, and I'm going to show it time and time again. And unfortunately, he's in front of me, and I got to do my thing to show the world why I'm the best. So I think that's just unfortunate for him that he has to be across the octagon from me, because man, I'm setting a statement, and the world's going to see a real showing that day.
In other words, no one's getting slapped in the lead up to this one, right?
Getting slapped? Oh, well, yeah, you never know. You never know how it plays out, though.
If you ask for the lamb recipe, that's crossing the line.
I was there when Ortega slapped, what's his name? Jay Park, is it?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, I was there, but I missed it. I was actually backstage with Israel. My coach was there. And I knew that was going to happen. But then we had a chat afterwards, Ortega. So I was like, I got told about him. I'm like, oh, what happened? And he told me. So look, again, he's a pretty cool dude.
So you guys kind of leveled when you had that chat, knowing that you're probably going to fight soon.
Zombie was bad mouthing both of us. His team. Jay Park was saying things about both of us. So I'll be lying if I didn't have a laugh with Ortega after he slapped Jay Park.
That's it. Hey, speaking of slaps, if you are looking to slap down a big juicy bet on the upcoming fights, or any fights for that matter, there is no better place to do it than MyBookie. If you like the feeling of cashing in a big fat check after a juicy knockout, there is one place for that feeling. That is mybookie.ag. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, Cass. MyBookie has better bonuses and more MMA odds than any sportsbook, period. Plus, it's NFL playoffs, and nobody does game day better than MyBookie. Whether you want to make a future bet, do some live wagering, or take on player groups, MyBookie has something for everyone. And MyBookie is the only sportsbook Submission Radio recommends. When you win, they pay fast. And by the way, around the corner, like you mentioned, UFC 257, so many great bets. Dan Hooker on there, Michael Chandler on there, Conor McGregor on there, Dustin Poirier on there. So jump on, because if you sign up with the promo code SUBMISSION, MyBookie will match your deposit halfway up to $1,000, Cass. That's unbelievable. Visit MyBookie online today. That's MyBookie. And don't forget to enter the promo code SUBMISSION. Bet, win, get paid only at MyBookie.
That's right. Do so with some silky, smooth balls. I used to be the kind of guy who would buy those disposable razors and cut my balls all sorts of ways in the shower. It never worked out. Now, I'm all about Manscaped's Lawnmower 3.0 with the skin-safe technology. It won't cut your balls. It won't cut anything. It's waterproof. You can do it in the shower. It's got an LED light, 7,000 RPMs of blissful power, and you can use it on any part of your body to groom yourself, and use the code submission and you get 20% off. Isn't that right, Dennis?
Yeah, man. And listen, Manscaped is a lot more than just a place to get your grooming stuff. You can also get your foot duster. Make sure your feet don't stink out the office when you get back from the gym. How about a nose trimmer? How about a comfortable pair of underwear, a ball deodorant? Manscaped has it all. So go to manscaped.com right now. Use the code word submission, get 20% off and free shipping now.
There you go. While we're giving away juicy deals, if you're looking for places to watch the fights, if maybe you're in a region where you don't get the fights streamed on your TV or you can't access them, you can use a VPN like PureVPN to change the region on your computer, your laptop, your tablet, your phone, anywhere you want. Change the region, and now, bang, all of a sudden your computer thinks you're in the US, you're in Australia, you're in the UK. You can watch things like ESPN, Globo, anything, any sports channel all over the world, as long as you're in that region with PureVPN, and you can do it safely. And also, the government won't take your details because the VPN blocks them from doing that. Use the code submission and you get an additional 10% off, which is crazy because they're doing 99-cent trials for 7 days, and you get 47% off for a year and then 70% off for 2 years. Isn't that right, Dennis?
Yeah, well, listen, Cass, right now, security is the most vital thing that you can have on your computer. You're constantly downloading stuff, and all sorts of parties are monitoring you. So make sure to jump on PureVPN right now to make sure you keep safe. If you want to check out some content overseas that you can't check out here in Australia, which is basically happening all the time, and of course, that's ESPN Plus as well, go to link.purevpn.com/submission now. Use that code word submission and make sure you don't miss out on any more fights again. I know there's a lot of you guys traveling in between countries. You can't access your Fight Pass. You can't access your subscriptions. You can't access your Foxtel Go. This is your opportunity here with PureVPN. But just before we let you go, Alex, just quickly, UFC 257 around the corner. Couple of quick predictions from you. The first one, a guy that you've trained with before, a teammate from CKB, Dan Hooker. What a massive spot he's in against Michael Chandler. He's even doing a press conference this week with Conor McGregor, and I can't wait to see what happens because Dan is one of the brightest, sharpest guys out there on the roster. What are you expecting from his fight with Michael Chandler? Just a quick preview for the people that don't really know Dan that well and what he really brings to the table.
Mate, this is you hit the nail. This is a great fight. For the whole thing about it, not only match up stylistically, the position he's in, co-main on this card. Fighting Michael Chandler again. A lot of hype around Chandler. He's coming in from another promotion. There's a bit of hype around him. Stylistically, I think this is a great fight for Dan Hooker. I think he's actually going to look real good in this one, and what a position to be in, to fight before Conor McGregor. Same division. I think there's a good time to set something up there. And press conference, this is the position he's in is incredible. I'm happy for him, and I can't wait for him to do his thing. And again, he is a smart man, so I'm sure that press conference is going to be a good one. But I see Dan getting a finish in that fight, and that's no disrespect to Chandler, but stylistically, I just can't see Chandler. I can't see Chandler having this one. So I feel like Dan will either catch him on the outside coming in, or even when he comes in. You know what I mean? So this is a good fight for Dan, and I can't wait for it.
A lot of people sort of predicting a similar finish, and I can't wait to see Dan's dry Kiwi humor wreak havoc at the press conference, and people just not knowing how to take it. Yeah. Two more predictions. The second one obviously is the main event: Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. If you were throwing your hat in there as far as how you see it going, what's the Volkanovski pick?
Man, I'll go with Conor with this one. You know what I mean? People are going to be like, oh, yeah, Poirier's been more active and whatnot. Is there ring rust, all that type of stuff, whether people are saying that. Conor McGregor, there's no ring rust. You ain't going to get that. Obviously he's a confident fighter. He's cocky, whatever it is. He's that confident that, it doesn't matter if he hasn't been in there for that long. There won't be ring rust. He's going to be clear no matter how long he hasn't been in there for. So I believe he's going to be sharp as ever. I know he's the type of guy that when he's got a challenge in front of him, a fight in front of him, he's preparing. No matter how rich he is or whatever it is, he does take this sport serious, and I think he's going to be in good nick. And I just think, with Poirier, I know he's a much better fighter than he was. Whether that knockout's still in the back of his head, and I just think, Conor's just sharpness is going to be too much earlier in that fight, and I think he does get the finish early in the fight. If it goes later, obviously that changes, but I think Conor gets the finish early.
And also, we know that just in the future, we know lightweight was your division in the past. Is there any chance you see yourself sort of moving up, even after a few more title defenses, once you kind of go through the whole featherweight division and you're the featherweight king? Is there a part of you that would be excited to try a new challenge and move up and maybe try that lightweight division out? Or are you just sort of happy to sort of cement your legacy as one of the best featherweights of all time in the history of the UFC?
Oh, man, I don't think it's long before I can cement my legacy in this division. I think I've had some great things already. I beat the best guys in this division. People are trying to say Max is a GOAT. Obviously, they're saying Aldo's a GOAT. I've beat them both. People are trying to say Max is still in his prime, and I beat him twice in his prime. So that just shows you where I'm at. But again, I do want to stay in this division and cement myself as the GOAT in this division. I don't think that's too far away. A couple of defenses, but man, I love my barbecue, so will definitely be somewhere I wouldn't mind going as well. So again, I've got a division to hold and do my thing in, but at the end of 2021, I think whether there's someone next or not, there might not be a number one contender. So all right, let's move up. Let's have a fight there. I don't want to hold up the division. I've always said that. But there's going to be opportunities where there's time to be like, all right, let's go test the waters in the lightweight division.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well because obviously your teammate Israel, the man that you guys do some sparring with, he's moving up and going to light heavyweight, and then he might move up and go to heavyweight. And I'm just curious, obviously Eugene Behrman is a guy that is a trainer for you as well. What is your mindset on moving up? Because they have a very interesting mindset, and that is you don't even really need to put on too much extra weight. You can come into a division that's a little bit higher and then maintain that speed advantage and sort of beat guys that way. They're not really a big fan of a guy bulking up and trying to put on all this extra muscle just to move up to a division. Do you kind of share that mindset? And is it nice to kind of see a teammate do it this year before maybe you try to do something similar next year?
Yeah, of course. But to be honest, I'll still need to cut weight to make lightweight.
Wow.
I'm not to put on muscle or put on weight because I'm still sitting at a decent weight for lightweight as well. Because, again, I fluctuate a fair bit. And, man, I've trained with so many different weights, man. I've fought at middleweight. You got to remember, I've fought at middleweight. I've played front row. I was 97 kilograms. I'm used to the big boys. I don't know anything but training with the big boys. Even now, even though I'm sure when I'm sparring with some of these big guys, even today, not today, but these days, I'm still training with guys twice the size of me. I could only imagine what they're looking at because, I still feel like I'm like a little chihuahua. I feel like I'm 10 foot tall, right? They're looking at this 6 bloke half the size of him, probably piecing them up. And, me, that's what I'm used to. That's all I know. So, I still feel just as strong as these big boys. So I don't need to put on muscle. I don't need to work on strength because I believe even in the lightweight division, I am stronger than majority of them. So, again, the power's there. And, I don't need to work on that. So, yeah, I'm used to the big boys. So that's nothing different for me.
Yeah, and when you look at that dream fight at lightweight, who gets you most excited? Because I'm just thinking about it right now. Is it a guy like Conor McGregor if he becomes champ again? Or is it even that elusive matchup with Khabib, a guy that no one's been able to figure out, maybe one of the toughest puzzles to figure out in the sport of MMA, a guy that has had so much success?
Man, there's a few good fights in that division. There's some big names in that division. But there is, I guess you could say, a connection, obviously, with Conor, where I've beat every other champion in my division. And Conor was the featherweight champion as well. And as I said, I want to cement myself as the GOAT in my division. And let's be honest. There's always going to be Conor McGregor fans, and they're going to keep, bringing him up and throwing him out there in them conversations. So to go out there and sort of just show the world that I am the greatest featherweight of all time, that would be a big fight for me. And obviously, then you're talking about the circus around the promotion, and and just everything about it. The money fight. Well, you name it. It'll be a big opportunity, a fun fight, and it makes sense because again, I want that GOAT status.
You've got the same opponents in Max Holloway as well. So yeah, the connection runs deep. Man, there's a lot of fun things in your future, Alex. As we let you go, get out of your hair so you can continue cruising down the freeway in your 6'4". What is the early out prediction for you against Brian Ortega? How do you see yourself getting it done?
Mate, I just say, I think, yes, I think again, and I don't mean this in any disrespect, but I believe I'm just going to crumble him. My pressure's too much. I'm going to get in his face, and it's just going to be too much. I'm predicting, because he is tough. He does have a chin. We've seen that. But just that pressure I'm going to put in front of him, I just believe, whether it is third, fourth round, I believe it's just going to be too much, and that fight will be stopped. Just too overwhelmed. That's how I see it. I've pictured it. And that's exactly 2021 is going to be my year. I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of big things happening this year, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity towards the end of the year as well. So keep an eye out. Stay tuned.
I'll tell you what, 2021 getting off to a blazing start. So many exciting fights, guys. Make sure to follow Alex at Alex Volkanovski on Twitter, Instagram. Watch out for that new YouTube channel, Cooking with Volkanovski. I can't wait to see what happens there. And, of course, the children's book as well. Nothing but good reviews and a great present, during this COVID time when everybody's stuck at home. And UFC 260, still to be 100% confirmed, but expected to take place March 27th in the US, with the venue still officially to be announced. Alex, we can't wait to see what happens, man. Thanks so much for joining us on the Big Drive from the Gong. It's always an honor and privilege.
Thank you. Stay tuned. See you next time.